The war ended in silence, not with cheering crowds, not with victory banners waving across the stars, but with a hum of damaged ships drifting through orbit like broken thoughts. The skies above Caliph Prime, once lit by orbital fire, had settled into a bruised purple calm. I stood on the landing platform of the Citadel, my boots scorched, my armor cracked, my lungs still tasting a smoke that hadn't existed for hours. I was the last human on this world. That fact alone should have terrified me. Instead, I felt strangely calm. The Valari Dominion had summoned me not as a prisoner, but as a survivor. That distinction mattered to them. It mattered enough that I was escorted unbound through halls carved from living crystal, where bioluminescent veins pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Every step echoed with the weight of history, of a species older than humanity by tens of thousands of years. And at the end of those halls waited the woman who had conquered half the Orion arm, Queen Zyra Veeler. She sat upon a throne grown, not built, an elegant fusion of organic metal and translucent stone. Her presence bent the air. She was tall, taller than any human woman, her form humanoid yet unmistakably alien. Silver-violet skin, eyes like molten starlight, and a crown that wasn't worn but emerged from her skull in delicate, branching arcs. She studied me the way one studies a distant horizon, patient, unreadable, vast. "You are the human called Elias Ward," she said, her voice resonating not just in my ears but in my chest. "The one who refused evacuation. I stayed to pull civilians out of ruins." I replied, "Someone had to." Her eyes narrowed, not in anger but curiosity. "You defied your own command structure. You disobeyed orders. You chose strangers over survival." "I chose people," I said quietly. "There's a difference." A murmur passed through the Valari Council lining the chamber. I didn't understand their language, but I understood the tone. Discomfort, interest, debate. Queen Zyra rose from her throne and descended the steps with unhurried grace. "Your species fascinates us human," she said. "So fragile, so defiant, so emotionally reckless." She stopped a few steps away from me. "You were captured 3 times during this war," she continued, "and 3 times released. Do you know why?" I shook my head. "Because each time you spoke not of victory," she said, "but of endings, of peace, of the cost of conquest." Her gaze hardened. "The Dominion has won," she said. "Your fleets are shattered. Your alliance is broken. Earth stands spared. For now." I felt my heart pound. "This council has debated your fate," she said. "Some call you a liability. Others a symbol. And you?" I asked. Her lips curved just slightly. "I find you inconveniently compelling." The council shifted again. Something was coming. I could feel it. "By Valari law," Queen Zyra said, "a victorious monarch may grant one binding choice to an honored survivor of a defeated species." She raised her hand, and the chamber fell utterly silent. "Choose any woman you want, human," she declared. "From among our nobles, our scholars, our warriors. She will be bound to you in protection, alliance, and legacy." My breath caught. This wasn't mercy. It was politics, a symbolic tether between species. The images flashed through my mind. Powerful Valari women stepping forward, the court's approval, the strategic safety such a bond would offer humanity. And yet, I didn't look at them. I looked only at her. I choose you, I said. The silence that followed was absolute. Queen Zyra's eyes widened, just barely. You misunderstand, she said slowly. I am not among the choices. I understand perfectly, I replied. You're the only one that matters. The council erupted. You dare, someone shouted. Silence, Queen Zyra commanded. She stared at me as though seeing me for the first time. No one has ever chosen me, she said softly. They kneel, they obey, they fear. I don't, I said. I see you. Something shifted in her expression, something dangerous and old. Then you have chosen a path from which there is no return, she said. I figured, I answered. And so, beneath alien stars, with a war's ashes still warm, I bound my fate to an alien queen who had never been chosen and had never expected to be. Middle, the consequences came swiftly. By Valari law, my choice could not be revoked without dishonoring the throne itself. Queen Zyra dissolved the council session within minutes, her composure intact but her aura, if such a thing could be sensed, crackling with restrained turbulence. I was granted quarters within the inner spire of the citadel, guarded not as a prisoner, but as something far more dangerous, a variable. Word spread through the Dominion faster than any transmission. A human had chosen the queen, not a treaty, not a noble bride. Her, some saw as a challenge, others as an insult, a few, very few, as destiny. Zyra did not summon me again for 3 cycles. When she finally did, it was not to the throne room, but to the astral garden, a vast chamber open to the sky, where artificial constellations drifted slowly above crystalline flora. You have disrupted centuries of protocol, she said without preamble. I didn't mean to cause trouble, I replied. She turned to face me. That, she said, is precisely the trouble. We spoke then not as monarch and subject, but as 2 beings caught between duty and something unnamed. She told me of her ascension, forged through ritual combat and political betrayal, of a throne that demanded perfection and punished vulnerability. I told her of Earth, of oceans and cities, of a war humanity never should have survived. You are not afraid of me, she said. I am, I admitted, just not in the way you're used to. Her gaze lingered on me longer than necessary. The days that followed were strange. I was educated in Valari customs, taught their language, allowed to walk the citadel freely, though never unobserved. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, Queen Zyra's presence in my life shifted from formal to frequent. We debated philosophy, strategy, the ethics of conquest. Sometimes we argued fiercely. Sometimes we laughed, surprising us both. But the Dominion was not idle. The high matrons, ancient power brokers, challenged the legitimacy of my choice. They claimed manipulation, emotional compromise. They demanded a trial, one that would test whether a human could stand beside a Valari queen without weakening the throne. The trial was not combat. It was truth resonance, an ancient Valari rite that stripped intention bare. I stood within a crystalline circle as psychic pressure bore down on my mind, memories surfacing unbidden. Loss, fear, hope, regret. At the center stood Zyra. What do you desire? The resonance demanded. I met her eyes. To stand with her, I said, not above, not below, beside. The chamber shook. The resonance searched deeper. Why choose the queen? Because she carries the weight of her people alone, I said, voice shaking. And no one should. The trial ended in stunned silence. For the first time in Dominion history, the resonance declared a non-Volari true. That night, Zyra came to my quarters. Not as queen, as herself. I have ruled through certainty, she said quietly. You bring questions. Questions are how things change, I said. She stepped closer. Change terrifies empires, she whispered. Good, I replied. Her hand brushed mine, brief, tentative, electric. The galaxy shifted again. Ending. The assassination attempt came during the Unity Convergence, when every major faction of the Dominion gathered beneath Caliph Prime's twin moons. They struck not at me, but at her, a null-field weapon, ancient and forbidden, designed to sever Volari from the psionic lattice that sustained their higher cognition. I saw it a heartbeat before it fired. I moved without thinking. The blast hit me instead. Pain unlike anything I had known tore through my nervous system. I collapsed, the world fracturing into shards of light and shadow. I heard Zyra scream, truly scream, for the first time. Human physiology should not have survived that weapon, but humanity had always been good at surviving things it shouldn't. I woke days later in the regeneration chamber, my body altered, Volari biotech woven into my cells to save my life. Zyra was there. You chose me, she said, voice unsteady, and you nearly died for it. I told you, I rasped, no backing out. The conspirators were exposed. The high matrons dissolved. The Dominion stood at a crossroads. Zyra addressed the galaxy not as a conqueror, but as a ruler who had learned something new. Strength is not solitude, she declared, and unity does not require dominance. Earth was welcomed, not as a subject, but as an equal ally. As for me, I remained, not as a symbol, not as a weapon, but as a man who looked at an alienqueen and chose her, not for power, not for safety, but because in a universe shaped by fear, he believed in choosing connection. Under unfamiliar stars, beside a woman who once ruled alone, I found something rarer than victory, a future